this year in the 2018-19 hunting season. On Tuesday, members of the State Game Commission Board voted to expand a ruling that had previously allowed semi-automatic shotguns for deer and bear seasons only in areas near Pittsburgh and Philadelphia. You're up to date from the Bobby Rahal Honda of StateCollege.com newsroom. I'm Susan King on WBLF. Depend on it.
Okay, listeners, are you feeling stressed? Do you need to get away from it all? Well, Magnum Broadcasting wants you to pack your suitcase with our Quick Trip Contest. Register at our sponsor locations: R&B Auto Pros in Morrisdale, Burley Real Estate in Clearfield, Extreme Custom Cycles in State College, Ricotta Jewelers in Phillipsburg, Village Closet at 17th Street in Altoona, Cartridges Galore Video Games in State College, Altoona, and Duncansville, The Sign Shop at the Film Center in Altoona, Fun Central in Clearfield, or Shindig Alley and Thieves Market in Phillipsburg. Each Friday through April 23rd, we'll draw one name from each local business. If your name is drawn, you'll qualify to win your choice of a trip for two to Nashville with 4 nights accommodations at the Guest House International Inn and Suites, as well as tickets to Nashville's hottest attractions, or a trip for two to Cleveland's Rock and Roll Hall of Fame with 5 days, 4 nights accommodations at the Hilton Garden Inn, 2 tickets to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and more. Enter once per week at our sponsor locations. The grand prize winner will be announced April 30th. Register to win, then pack your suitcase, because Magnum Broadcasting and our sponsors could be sending you on a quick trip.
Your forecast from Rothrock's Department Store, Front Street in downtown Phillipsburg, offering the lowest prices on Alfred Dunner, Carhartt apparel, and Muck brand boots. Rothrock's open Monday to Saturday, 9 to 5.
This is meteorologist Matt Riddle with your forecast for WBLF. Today, we will have a good deal of clouds with showers and drizzle, and it will be another chilly day with a high of 56. We'll have a low of 45 tonight, and the showers will start to taper off, but there can be a lingering shower early Thursday. From WTAJ, your weather authority, I'm meteorologist Matt Riddle for News Talk 970 AM and 106.3 FM WBLF.
At 106.3 FM, this is the all-new WBLF, AM and FM, news, sports, weather. Depend on it.
This is your total information source, The Mike Gallagher Show. We keep you connected to the headlines like no one else, featuring the biggest newsmakers and news breakers.
You've been great, Mike, and I appreciate it very much. You notice I walked over here very quickly.
What I would say to your millions of listeners all over the country is now is the time to let your voice be heard.
And now, in the ReliefFactor.com studios, here is Mike Gallagher.
I'm wondering what people who keep saying there's a blue wave coming think about the special election in Arizona last night. Republicans won. The media, of course, as the media is wont to do and inclined to do, the media is saying, well, you know, the Democrats are celebrating a close defeat. Debbie Lesko, defeated Hyrel Tiperneni, a Democratic physician making her first run for office. What the media likes to do is say, well, Trump carried this district by more than 20 points, so any Republican ought to carry the district by 20 points. No, it doesn't work that way. Nice try. The media would be ecstatic if Debbie Lesko lost, but she didn't. The Republicans won, and, that's good news for those who keep saying there's going to be a blue wave. I don't know. There may be a blue wave. Who knows? We'll it might be maybe a orange wave. There's been an orange wave, all right, and we've been witnessing it for the better part of a year and a half. Welcome in. We got a lot to cover today. Not only the Republican win, the Supreme Court will be considering President Trump's travel ban. 2 Dallas police officers critically shot yesterday. Once again, police officers, putting their lives on the line for their community. But I want to spend a few minutes with you, and I want to kick things off by talking about, because I want to revisit this professor at Fresno State University. You know the case by now. And the reason I want to revisit it with you is I want to pick your brain, and I want to ask you a little bit about free speech, boycotts, consequences, accountability. Because a lot of my friends and colleagues in the radio and TV business have a very definite line in the sand. They have a very definitive position on the issue of boycotting a writer, a broadcaster, an actor, a business. Their position's really clear. No boycotts. And I get it. I understand their mindset. Their mindset is probably, if I'm pro boycott, when are they going to come for me? And it's a bit of self-preservation, perhaps. I don't want to be cynical, especially when I'm talking about good friends of mine. But it can't be a very comfortable place to be. Somebody doesn't like what you say on television or on radio. They start a campaign. They try to get you off the air by forcing your advertisers to bail. So in the case of Randa Jarrar, this Fresno State professor, the equivalent of a boycott for her has been the rallying cry, she must be fired. You know about her by now. She celebrated the death of Barbara Bush in a profanity-laced Twitter rant. And yesterday it was announced that this professor will not be disciplined. Joseph Castro, the president of Fresno State, said that this English instructor, Randa Jarrar's comments were insensitive, inappropriate, and an embarrassment to the university, but are protected free speech under the First Amendment of the U.S. Constitution. So nothing's going to happen to her, which is pretty much what she predicted. She said this. She said, hey, fools. Basically, I'm a tenured professor. Fresno State's going to give me cover. I make $100,000 a year to spout this stuff. I'll say whatever I want. You can stick it in your ear. And I've cleaned it up, incidentally. If you've seen what she writes, she's a foul-mouthed, real classless, nasty human being. And if I had a kid in her class, I would turn myself inside out to yank my kid out of anything that this woman came within a million miles of teaching. Can't imagine what talent she possesses when she celebrated the witch dying and glad that Barbara Bush was dead and waiting for the rest of the Bushes to die and blah, blah, blah. She's a nasty person. But in the course of this Twitter back and forth, which is where people live, where they go to die, Twitter, where they go to, have their bloodbaths, she said, I'm protected. I'm tenured. Once you get to the holy land of tenure in the college world of academia, you are golden. And it turns out she's right. It turns out she was correct. The president of the university said she will not be disciplined in any way, shape, or form. She's free to say whatever she wants about conservatives, Republicans, people who've died, gloating about the anguish and the grief of the Bush family. One of her tweets, this is how nasty she is. One of her tweets was where she said, the only thing that makes her happy is knowing how sad President Bush is. Now, one more thing you should consider before you join me at 1-800-655-MIKE and weigh in on this. She also tweeted out the number of a suicide prevention hotline in Arizona. Somebody was trying to publish her office phone number, and she wrote back, said, I'll do you one better. You want to call me? Call me anytime. Here's my number. And she gave out the number, evidently, of a suicide prevention hotline, a mental counseling hotline for people who were facing the crisis of suicide. And of course, the phone line, as I'm sure she planned, was jammed with people calling and calling and calling, trying to reach her to tell her off. And there's a big question about anybody who might have been experiencing suicidal thoughts and they couldn't get through because of her actions. And yet, according to the president of Fresno State, none of that is worthy of discipline. Here's where I am on the issue of boycotts. I really believe that everybody has the right to patronize or support or not support anybody they want. I don't really follow the mindset of saying there should be no consequences or accountability. Happens all the time. People lose their job all the time for things they say, things they do. And many people hide behind the cloak of the First Amendment and say, you can do whatever you want, you can say whatever you want, and there are to be no consequences for your speech. I'm no constitutional lawyer, the first to admit it. It seems to me free speech doesn't mean consequence-free. Free speech doesn't mean there's no accountability. Free speech doesn't, what that means is she's not going to get arrested. That doesn't mean she shouldn't be fired. Let's dive in. 1-800-655-MIKE. Welcome in. We are live streaming the show today from our home studios. If you want to watch the radio show as well as listen to us, if you want to watch on the computer as well as listen to us on the radio, just go to MikeOnline.com, click the Watch Mike on TV button, join the chat room. Tim will be moderating, Pavlina, Sean, everybody's in there chatting away, and feel free to weigh in on the conversation that way. If you can't get through on our busy talk lines, you can always text us your comments to the MyPillow.com text line, which is 800-655-MIKE. But I'd love your voice on this. Is it a mistake to fail to discipline this Fresno State University professor who said such horrible, horrible things about the death of Barbara Bush? Should she have been fired, or do you agree with the university's assessment that she should not be disciplined? Let's find out what you think. 1-800-655-MIKE as we bring you this Wednesday edition of the Mike Gallagher Show in the ReliefFactor.com studios. I'm glad you're with us. Your voice coming up.
Hey friends, welcome to Lions Live on the Forever Lions Network, the only network built by the players for you, the fans. My name's Skip Robelbus here, a special edition here tonight, wrapping up our blue-white weekend here, and so glad to be with you here. I'm in State College, waiting for some of their guys to chime in here with us, but we also have, fortunately, here with us, who we missed last week, Dan the Fan. Dan, how are you?
Doing pretty good, Skip. How are you, brother?
Hanging in here, Guy. It's actually becoming more like spring now. Of course, it always happens after the blue-white game.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Good weekend.
Oh, yeah. Well, actually, last week was pretty nice. I was out at the scrimmage the weekend before, and it was like 80 degrees, and I'm thinking, wow, it's going to be nice. Of course, blue-white weekend comes around, and we're all expecting snow. So. But no, it was a great weekend last weekend. It was nice. The guys got a nice little workout there. Nothing that's going to be too strenuous for anybody, but a big weekend for you. And I'm sorry we had you on there last weekend, and
yeah,
we just
my apologies.
No. It was I know you had things to do, and of course there's a big weekend here for you. So why don't you tell everybody what's been happening with you?
Well, this past weekend, first of all, it was the Walk for Special Olympics. That means I've looked at the past 4 years, and this year we have the largest team of, even previous to my second year, of 77 people. And we came in second in donations to walk into Beaver Stadium with my team and stuff like that. But as I walked down the pathway there, I had turned around and came back in, and I had a little bit of help. But I proposed to my girlfriend on the 50-yard line inside Beaver Stadium, which nobody has ever done.
Oh, so you're the first person ever. Wow, how about that? Well, good for you, Dan.
That's awesome. Congratulations. Congratulations.
Yeah, hey, folks, that's Jimmy Kennedy here joining us on Lions Live. Jimmy just getting the word. All of us that Dan the Fan was the first person ever to be in the 50-yard line and propose to his now, I guess, wife. She did say yes, right?
Fiance, yes. And Franco had Franco helped out too. So.
Awesome. That's great, man.
Congratulations. Yes. I even seen Yakov Saturday night and talked with him, and he was part of it Saturday night too, but I didn't get to see it Sunday. So
Oh, that's great.
It was good. It was good. It was good. It was a perfect day, perfect weekend. Everything just fell into place.
Fantastic. Well, much congrats to you, Dan.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
That's great. Well, how's that the weather in Arizona, Jimmy? I catch you on a live shot every now and again from your car out there cruising. So what's happening?
You know, we got a sunny 98 degrees out here, so it's a scorcher. Oh, it's not too bad yet. You know, we got a dry heat.
Yeah, it's much nicer there than it would be here like that.
Yeah.
No doubt.
You know, it's still getting warm, so you got to have an AC blasting. But like you said, man, spring is here. It's good. It's you know, great. We're blessed to continue to walk this earth and enjoy life and so on. So like you said, I'm always doing something. If I'm missing my family and friends, you know me, I jump on Facebook Live just to see a few good faces and so on, and chat with people and so on. So it's pretty cool, man.
Awesome. And now you in LA, because you were talking about heading out there with your son's school going on strike.
Yeah, I go. Well, right now I'm here. I just picked him up from school, but you know we have a place out in LA, so that's where I'm there. I'll be there full time once he wraps up this school year. But you know, as of right now, you know, I just picked him out of school at 3:00. But then there's the school strike tomorrow and Friday, so most likely we're heading to our other house.
Good deal. Long weekend. A long weekend in LA.
Yeah. Yeah, man. So hopefully, you know me, I want the teachers to get what they deserve, you know. And now it's just they're asking for just a 20% increase and so on. So
only 20%.
Yeah, they asked for 20%. And you know, when they deal with the government and the governor or so on, whoever it is that they're dealing with, they want to give them the 20%. They want to give them 5% now, and then by the time 2020 hits, they'll have the 28% increase. But what they're asking for is the 20% now and continue to increase, you know, as the years go on. Given that the economy is changing and everything else so on, like, you know, when you start looking at the teachers out here, you know, I mean, teachers got second jobs and everything else, and they buy supplies and stuff from their, you know, from their own pocket and stuff like that. And then just like when you start looking at certain things that we don't pay attention to, like just, you know, I'll watch our gas go from 176 to basically 279. You know, so it's like stuff like that. If you only, I mean, I'm throwing out a number here, but if you had, you know, if you get $300, $340 a week, and you know, 60 of it, $70 is going into the gas tank because you gotta get back and forth to work. Whereas, you know, just, you know, 2 months ago it was $40 or, you know, $25 and so on. That's a drastic difference.
Well, it depends upon, you know, cost of living where anybody's going to be, and it's, you know, it's a trade off. I mean, you know, it's quite the gig. You know, you get your summers off. You know, it's not a bad gig.
To a point, but without pay.
Well, yeah, if you're striking, you won't be getting any pay.
well, here's the thing is, it's summers off, your hours is cut and everything else. You don't get your full salary. Most of them still have to put it for unemployment and so on.
I didn't know that. What, do they just have part-time teachers out there or full-time?
No, you know, a lot of things change from, that's what I was saying. Like, you know, I was looking into it. I was just like, no, you get full pay and so on. But a lot of things change, Skip. It's not the way it was back in the past. When we was growing up and stuff, it was fully paid and certain stuff. Like, I was like, oh, man. Like, you know, like I remember when I was growing up and so on. I mean, obviously, you know, I'm not saying it like it's but I remember, like, families and stuff used to love having, like, postal worker jobs and different stuff because benefits and different stuff. They cut a lot of that stuff off.
Well, yeah.
You know, so, you know, my girl works for the school district. She's the right-hand man to the principal and the assistant principal. She works all year round.
Yeah, the support staff and people probably do in administrative positions. A little bit different, but it's still quite the gig. You know, I know you got to.
One of my son's teachers for his math teacher is a manager at Subway.
Oh, okay. Well, at least he's
like,
not
think about that. like, no, but listen to what I'm saying, though. Like, she's a manager at Subway over the weekends or however she does it and so on. But when she gets off her in the evening, I have had homework with my son and said, all right, let's go to Subway for dinner. Grab him a Subway, and his teacher was in there to make extra income. Well, like, that's crazy.
Well, but that's by choice. I mean, it's interesting you mentioned that, because I go down here to the Mexican place here in State College, and I see a girl in there, and she's over at one of the other local school districts, and they make pretty decent money around here, and but she's there every night, and on weekends pulling in extra cash. I mean, it's we all make choices, and I speak as a person who has another BS degree in secondary ed. Another one in history, but I did my student teaching and thing, and honestly, unless I'm making $100,000 a year more doing it, I'm not going to do it. It's just not worth it. It's not worth the money for me. But
no, definitely, totally understand that. I mean, totally understand that, Skip. But here's what the reality is. Arizona, in terms of the state, is in the bottom 5 of lowest state in terms of the teachers. Yeah. So we got to go into the facts and so on. It's not just that. They're in the bottom 5 in the whole, in the whole country.
Wow.
Wow. So it's like, what do you mean they're in the bottom 5? It's like, wow. So it's just like what you say, you have teachers and so on, like literally making $9.50 an hour. It's like, what? Hold up, huh?
That don't work too well with student loans, does it?
Yeah. So like, hold on. Like, just think about it. You got, when it's all said and done, we'll talk about it. Like I said, I'm not just speaking in terms. I'm just speaking teachers in general, not private, public, or whatever. But I always felt that even as an athlete, that we shouldn't be getting millions and so on when you have doctors, firefighters. I know you have tragic stuff like what happened to him, like Ryan Shazier. How do you say it? Like, him being paralyzed and risking the CTE and different stuff. But you don't have cops and firefighters running into fires and getting shot at. And, you have, teachers teaching our kids. I always believe that we get what we pay for. So if we continue to talk about
sometimes, brother. Sadly, sometimes we don't.
Yeah, I agree. But like I said, when we start talking about the decline in our children and everything else and so on, it's like, well, what do we do when, since I've been a kid, we've been talking about textbooks and times changing and upgrading stuff and so on. And I know you guys are already seeing, like, obviously every state have their different situations. Like, always talking about Aaron Maben with him and him helping out and being a teacher and so on, and the kids not having heat and so on, and him raising that money. You guys remember that?
Yeah, I vaguely, Jimmy. Vaguely, I remember hearing mention.
Yeah, he was the school couldn't afford to keep the heat and stuff on, so the kids in class with bubble up jackets on and so on, and it was cold doing it work and so on. And I think he raised a few $100,000 and like $60,000 worth of jackets and stuff like that for kids and so on. It was an awesome thing that he did.
Wow.
But you can't do that across the country.
No. Yeah, it's. Well, I'm all about wanting to see reform across the board when it comes to education. I mean, we had let's kind of dovetail on what we talked about last week. We do need to see changes because the purpose of education. It actually started with the church. It was to teach more than just the study of each field, but also to help people grow in grace. And that's changed a lot, and also to prepare people for what comes later. You're supposed to be getting prepared for to have skills and things that are marketable in the real world, and that's changed. The economies have changed, the type of workforce and things, the way people work and things have changed. So it hasn't caught up, and I think they're still kind of stuck back in this mode of this idea of cookie cutter approach to education. But I think everything totally needs reform. We need to go back and start at the very, very beginning and say, okay, what do people need the most? How many people really need to have a BS degree to begin with to be able to, where's the jobs at in our country? Where are they making the money? And tailor it to where people can go and make a good living. Back in the day, and it's sadly changed. Over the last 50 years, our country's changed a lot. My dad was one of those guys, he graduated high school, went in the military, served, came back, got in with a good company, put in 25, 30 years, retired from the power company, been doing good. And my mom didn't have to work. She was able to be there, take care of us kids and stuff, and that type of traditional family values, unfortunately, has changed. And, I think that's oftentimes, too, why we see some of the problems we see in our society, too, because one or two of the other parents isn't there when they need to be for their kids. You're an exception, Jimmy, because, there you are, man. You're taking your son to school, picking him up, you're in his life.
Yeah.
And that makes a big difference. You look at the difference your kid has because of that love you're showing.
Good job.
So
good job.
It makes all that type of difference. And everybody has that opportunity, but it'd be nice for us to get back to that type of an economy where, two parents, it doesn't take two incomes to survive here. But, it comes down to priorities too. Some families just don't want to sacrifice in different ways to have that either. They want to have the new Benz and the Xbox, whatever they want to have all the toys too. And, the problem is they trade their kids in on it. And it could be any combination of any of those scenarios, but I'd like to see a reform come about. I'd like to see parents to have a choice of where they can send kids. And the best thing could happen with anything is competition. So if private industry could get involved where the state's no longer a part of it, and parents could get vouchers and, let the schools compete for the vouchers for the parents to send their kids because they're good in quality there, that's a win-win for everybody. But, my name's Skip Robelvis, and I approve the message. So,
hey, did you see that? On a different note, did you see my man Saquon had his baby girl?
I did. It just came out there. Yeah. Wow, lifestyle change for him, isn't it?
Yeah, congratulations to him, man.
All the best.
Yeah, definitely.
Speaking of which, good segue there. Where do you think he's going to go tomorrow?
Giants.
I would love to see him go to the Giants, but we got to see. I mean, because you'd love to see him go first overall. I think Cleveland's making some moves as well. So, either way, both teams have some uncertainties right now. Of course, it would be great to see him pair up. Like, let's just say they get Des Bryant. They got Des Bryant, Saquon, Eli, Brendan Ingram, and Odell Beckham, and the defense still playing solid and so on. So, but they lost a lot of key pieces too in terms of getting rid of Jason Pierre-Paul and so on. So it still raised some, some concerns, But I do like the move that Cleveland made so far with getting Jarvis Landry, and that last Myles Garrett last year, and they still have a couple of players. They still have that linebacker stud guy that played for Michigan. I can't think of his name. Oh, Peppers. They still have him. And I like the moves that they're making, getting Tyrod Taylor and so on. So I think if let's just say they went with, let's say they stick it out with Tyrod Taylor for a year or two, and they go and they get Saquon at running back, and then they go get a Chubb with the fourth pick. Now you got a quarterback, a running back, you got a solid receiver, you got two young edge rushers on your defense and so on. That's a great starting block. I think the only thing that hurts is losing Joe Thomas, offensive line-wise, to protect that veteran quarterback that you have right now. But you can still address those in the later rounds and so on. I'm just thinking in terms of right now with their first round picks.
Yeah, well, it's kind of interesting how they're starting this all out. Now, Jimmy, you could talk about this a lot better than any of us could. They're starting tomorrow night at 8:00, and then they're spreading this out over 3 days. So it was never like that before, was it?
No, this is the first time I believe it's in Dallas and on NBC, I believe. But no, back in the day, we used to do it. It was over 2 days. And initially, when I came out, it was over 2 days, and it was the first the first 6 rounds, or first 5 rounds, and then day 2 was the rest.
It was like an all-day type of deal,
All day.
Yeah, because some guys were sitting around just waiting for the call,
All day long.
So, what was that like for you? Take us back.
Oh man, it was a great experience and so on, leading up to it and so on. But like I said in the past, the actual draft day when I was in a green room, everything was great. But then remember that year Minnesota let the clock run out, and that's when we had to have 6-7 picks in less than 30 seconds.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's interesting how this all shakes down. So I guess obviously now I think they probably have algorithms built into computers. They plug people in for all types of contingencies now. They've really got down to a science. So that's pretty wild.
Yeah, it's crazy these days.
So you definitely think he's going to be one of the top 3?
I mean, given the situation, I would love for him obviously to be top 5. I mean, every day it seems like something changed. I mean, today's report was Baker Mayfield was going number 1. So if you get Baker Mayfield, then now the Giants are stuck in a dilemma because now it's Eli don't have 2-3 years left in him. So it's we have a solid backup right now with I can't think of the guy's name right now, but he was a rookie last year and so on. But I know they had Geno Smith and so on. I want to say it's Ball or something like that. But for the Giants. But anyway, what I was saying is that he, I don't know if they'll pass on a Sam Darnold or something like that, or if they'll pass on, just so that, the quarterbacks that they have out, Josh Rosen or so on. I don't know if they'll do that. So I guess it really all depends on what Cleveland does first. Because, I remember when I got drafted to the Rams, St. Louis Rams, that I was looking, when I got there, I was like, well, hold up. You guys have 2 first-round defensive tackles as the starters. You have, Leonard Little getting paid like a first-rounder. You got Brent Winstrom over here as a first-rounder. You have Eric Flowers, a trade that you guys made from Buffalo, a first-rounder. Why you guys get me? And literally the response was, you were the best player on the board. It's just why would we not get the best player on the board? It's not about the needs and so on. It was really about, let's draft the best guy on the board. You were the highest one, so we took the best guy that was available. And I was just like, okay, well, but in terms of playing time, what's going on? It was just like, well, don't expect to make Rookie of the Year. What do you mean, don't expect to make Rookie of the Year? Well, treat this like a red shirt. Well, why am I treating it like a red shirt? Right. I was trying to make Rookie of the Year.
Oh, yeah.
But you know what? I went into a situation where I had, I was one of, I want to say, 8 guys that were first rounders in a room. So it wasn't, obviously we're talking about a different time, but, it's just what's the situation? Who wants to go in just to be a backup as a competitor getting paid and so on? Because these days, with social media and everything else and so on, it's still oh, he's a bust, he's this, he's so on, he's that.
Yeah.
They get so quick to label us as busts, just like, Jared Goff last year with the Rams. You come out and guess what? You get a coach like Jeff Fisher to say, hey, no, well, you're not ready yet. Let's put you on the bench or whatever and knock his confidence down or whatever. And then the next year, the guy is Offensive Rookie of the Year. He's Offensive Player of the Year or so on. So it's like, oh, what's happening? How do you go from, the last year he was a bust, and the following year, a new coach, he's a stud. So, yeah, go ahead.
Excuse me, you know what I just seen? I seen that the Patriots want to make a move for Saquon Barkley and Marcus Allen.
Wow.
That would be awesome.
Wow.
They need both of them.
Yeah, that'd be wild. Yeah, he could wind up with a ring, more likely to wind up with a ring there. I don't know. I think if he goes to Giants, the Giants look like they could be posed to get a ring in the next year or 2 before Eli goes.
Yeah. Well, you got to keep in mind this. The Eagles are on the rise. The Eagles are on the rise. The Redskins will be the Redskins. They'll always be towards the bottom. The Cowboys are, I think they're going to stay the same. Like they're not getting better or worse. I don't think Dak is what they thought he'll be. And then you got to keep in mind that the Steelers is on the decline. So it's great because you go. Yeah, it's great because you want to talk about, hey, they get Saquon, he could get a ring, but I like his team. But let's just say I like the 49ers going this year. I don't like them to get a ring, but I like them. Seattle, you can never count Seattle out these days. We got to see what Gruden is talking about with, the Raiders, because the Raiders have the talent. You got to keep in mind that Jacksonville, they took Tom Coughlin, and you see what they did last year alone. That's just a start. They got everyone back for the most part. So it's still a lot that's up in the air, and it's not a sure thing, considering that the Patriots don't play great defense, and they lost a lot of defensive players, especially they stubbed Malcolm Butler. So it's like, wow, you know what I'm saying? And given that, they don't have like the LeGarrette Blunts and so on, they lost Amendola, they lost a few people, and then you have Tom Brady and Gronk in retirement and all that other stuff. Those people have uncertainty.
Right. Well, you want to go for the long, staying as long as you can. The longer you are, the greater the pension you get.
Yeah, definitely.
That brings me up another quick topic here. We're not going to run a long show tonight here, and I guess since I asked Jimmy's pick, I guess Dan, who you picking him to go with?
Barkley?
Yeah,
I would think I would think now. This is what I don't understand. Correct me if I'm wrong. If a team picks him, does he have to go to that team?
Yeah.
It's not like college. You can pick and choose, buddy.
Well, no. I've heard is that he's been told by his agents if the Browns kick him to turn it down, to turn it away. Is he able to do that?
Well, you know what it is. Eli did that, but Eli is also a man and came from a history in terms of football. Saquon loves football, so I don't think it really would be about the Browns and so on. But then, like I said, the issue is no matter where he goes, really, it's still gonna be like I can't say a bad team, but it's still gonna be a team that because he's there, he'll still bring that wow factor like a Barry Sanders. Barry Sanders could have been in Detroit or any team in the NFL, and still would have been Barry Sanders.
Well, I heard just a couple of months ago, right before the Fiesta Bowl, that if he goes to the draft and the Browns do pick him, that he's being labeled as the next Jim Brown. So that's some pretty big shoes to fill too.
I don't think he's that type of person, though. I mean, he's not that type of athlete.
Yeah,
he's a good running back, but Jim Brown is like a phenomenon. He is.
Yeah,
that guy is like he's like a Jimmy Kennedy that could run to be a running back.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? Am I right, Jimmy? That's the type of guy.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, he was just like
during that time.
He would just run people over, man. I mean, that guy he was a phenomenal athlete, and you don't see that. He's still alive, isn't he?
Of course, yeah.
I thought so, yeah. But I can remember Walter Payton died, and then I'm thinking he's getting up there, though. He's got to be up there. So, but yeah, you haven't seen anybody like Jim Brown. I don't think ever again in the league. I don't think you ever will, actually, because his size, his speed, his strength. I don't think you're ever going to see it again in the NFL.
Yeah.
With that note, I hope he goes to the Patriots.
Well, it's a tough call.
Watch the thing play out.
Yeah, tomorrow we'll know. We'll be approaching that time here, 24 hours. It'll be winding down here in less than an hour. Then after that, I'm sure everybody will know. So pretty exciting time for him. Wish him all the best for sure.
Yeah.
So, hey, real quick wrap up on Blue White. It was a nice little scrimmage that they've got to go through there, put on a little show for the fans. But now it's time for these guys to turn to it here for the summer and, a change of pace. But I talked to one of the academic advisors on the sidelines. A lot of our guys are graduating, finishing up. getting several degrees in a rapid amount of time. Most guys are finishing up in about 3.5 years now, Jimmy. They are flying through the course. Yeah, and it's pretty amazing. Well, it wasn't quite like that back then with us, but I think what has happened is most of them are being here over the summer, taking courses over the summer. And I think that's why a lot of guys are finishing up sooner rather than later and having several degrees when they leave here. So good for them. Different change things like I noticed, but it'll be a different atmosphere for sure. Just seeing these guys leave with several degrees, finishing up, already being graduated. It's the time their senior year rolls around, they're playing ball. That's all they're doing. So pretty neat situation for guys to be in. It wasn't like that 30 years ago. Plus years ago, so for sure. Well, we don't actually have to run the whole length tonight, guys. I just wanted to toss these topics out there. They've been great. Anything on you guys' mind before we want to wrap things up tonight? Well, it'll be interesting fall. I talked to myself. I'll just wrap it up real quick here. I talked to Carson. He's the guy who's kicking here at Blue White. I look forward to catching up with him here over the summer. And I think it'll be a good year. I think they have another guy coming on a scholarship as a freshman. And, of course, the phenom out of Atlanta area, Westminster High School, Mr. Gilkin, is definitely getting a little closer to that draft day for him because he's crushing the ball. So that's all I can report on the special teams on that end. But I will tell you, man, it's been a lot of fun here. I've actually enjoyed being able to talk off topic about things like education. They're a nice change of pace here for a while, the past couple of weeks, since it's not as intense for football. But, the Arts Fest will be around. I don't know if you're going to make up this way over the summer, Jimmy. It'd be great to catch up with you. Then we could get you in the studio here. We'll do a live show with you here.
I'll be there. I'll be there the month of June.
Awesome. Look forward to having you in. We'll do some programs then here live in the studio. And Dan, a fan, I know you're always going to be around. And it's all.
There's a move in the process. We're heading down to Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, in about 3 weeks, and we're checking things out. There's a possible move for us in September, moving down to Myrtle Beach.
Oh wow! So Dan, the fan will be remote like Jimmy, huh?
Yeah.
Wow, that's wild. That's great. Hey, it's always been a lot of fun here, and I'm just so thankful that everybody could make it in here tonight. And the big dude got caught up with some work, and so did Yakov. They talked about chiming in here a bit later, but Jimmy, I'm glad you can make it. And Dan, I'm again congrats for you with your new wife here to be. A lot of changes, things happening here rapidly in your life, so we wish you all the best too.
Yeah, definitely. Blessings, man.
Right on. And Jimmy, I look forward to seeing you live on Facebook. I know you'll pop in every now and again. So there'll be it's always a lot of fun. And again, June will be here before I know it. We'll catch you then. So I can't thank you guys enough. Appreciate you all. Love you all and look forward to seeing you coming back on here. So on behalf of the big dude who couldn't make it tonight, but we'll catch him again next time. Yakov, same way with him. And we got the Grizz, Jimmy Kennedy. And Dan, the fan, my name's Skip Drabos. Thank you so much for joining us all here tonight for our Lions Live. Y'all have a great summer, and we'll catch y'all here again real soon. And we'll turn things back over here to our regularly scheduled program. You guys have a great night. Lord bless.
You too. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. You're cool. You good, Skip?
Life-changing information. 800-395-0342. 800-395-0342. 800-395-0342. Again, that's 800-395-0342.